Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you another One Punch Man special. Today we're talking about something that I wanted to mention for a long time now. This has been a topic that's been like boiling up for me as I've read the series and reread the series several times now. There's an interesting character or an interesting trait that several characters seem to have, and it's their growth, or the attribute of their growth, or the fact that we're especially hinting or taking notice to their growth. Moomin Rider, Glasses are two great examples of this. Garou is on the main stage of this occurrence, but subtly, and I think principally, Iaian may be growing more so than a lot of other characters. So in this video, we're going to talk about the possibilities of Iaian hopefully, maybe, possibly being the next S-Class up, and his relationship with Amai Mask himself. Now, before we get started, make sure you check out the link in the description for our Patreon and our Discord. On our Discord, we discuss One Punch Man and all kinds of anime and manga all day long. So if you want to come through, check out there. It's free, and you'll just sign up needed. If you'd like to check out our Patreon, so you can support the channel, you can give us, you can support us by joining our $2 tier, $5 tier, $10 tier, $20 tier, and $100 tier. You can receive a free playmat if you subscribe for our $20 tier as well as multiple other perks. Now, let's get into the greatness. So, in the redraws that we recently got for chapter 103, it was made apparent that there's some tension between the three disciples and Amai Mask. Now, coincidentally, they're also right on the verge, or all right next to each other in terms of ranking for the A class. We know that ranking, at least for classes outside of the S, does seem to have some contention in terms of position. You know, Amai Mask himself principally does participate in not necessarily the rookie crushing, but he is part of the whole control power aspect that the lower classes seem to be playing. Whether it's groups, whether it's individuals being rookie crushed, as I just mentioned, there are a bunch of different occurrences or a bunch of different phenomenons that occur in regards to the scaling between the different classes. And I don't want to say that the relationship between Iaian and Amai is the only aspect, because it seems that Bushido himself and Okamatachi also have some grudge or some type of dislike regarding Amai Mask. Now, as we also saw in previous chapters, if you guys have read, or if you guys remember, I believe it's 93, 92, 91, in the chapters where the heroes are having their meeting before they actually attack the Monster Association, Amai Mask enters the room and causes havoc and issues with not only Zombie Man, but Atomic Samurai and Flashy Flash as well. Even Tatsumaki got in and complained about his attitude for a moment, while Child Emperor he kept it to himself, but he was definitely annoyed with the presence or the interference of Amai Mask. So it could be said that the attitude or the issues that Iaian and the three disciples have could indeed stem from this unlikability that Amai seems to portray, his pompous, arrogant behavior. But how stoic and confident Iaian stared down Amai Mask in response to his attempt at a heinous action, that not only spoke to me, it showed me that maybe Iaian really is ready to take that next step. If you guys will remember his course in the story, from encountering Melzigard to encountering Devil Longhair to even this point here, let's not forget Rhino Wrestler here, but even this point here with Supernatural Water, Iaian has faced some pretty difficult situations. Now, let's talk about some practical scaling, right? If you're the number 2 of the A class, out of all the other heroes, you're pretty much there. There's only one other guy that is right next to the A class, to the S class, and the S class are the guys that you really depend on to take on the indomitable, crazy situations, the monsters that attack cities, that threaten entire city blocks, that can really cause some havoc. Those are the guys that you call the Pootie Pooties, the Tank Tops, the Drive Knights. Those are the guys that come in handy whenever things get out of hand. But on a regular basis, or on an increasing basis, as we saw in the beginning of the story, monsters that are appearing much more often can be handled with the inflating ranks of the Hero Association. As of recent, they've been deflating because of losses or for whatever other reasons, but The Hero Association has indeed been questioned if they're going to be outnumbered. That has been a question as of recent speculation amongst the executives. But it doesn't mean that Iaian hasn't held to his standard. Like I said, you can expect certain things of him because he is number 2 in the A class. But I'm not necessarily sure if you should expect even the S class to be able to confidently fight or defeat a dragon. Now, we do have the exceptions, and us personally as readers, we do have different classifications for the individuals who should be able to do that. Guys like Tatsumaki, Blast, maybe even Bang and Atomic in regards to them being like the higher ends of the S class. Definitely Metal Knight. So it has to be a feat, or it has to be an acknowledgement, or we have to acknowledge that Iaian encountering Melzigard first. Basically, it was presented as the last defense of the city. Besides the actual Hero Association building, he's the only thing that survived the destruction of this entire area. Now, I don't want to give claim to Iaian because we definitely saw what happened whenever he actually fought Melzigard. Melzigard's arrogant demeanor just, he didn't even care if he was being attacked. A lot of the times he was just allowing attacks to happen because of his just overwhelming regenerative power. But Iaian was able to dodge Melzigard's attack, and it wasn't some slow stuff, and it wasn't some weak stuff either. It took off his arm, but it also left a crater in the debris behind him for at least a few feet. So it can be said that his encounter with Melzigard and him holding up Melzigard in the little time span that we got the conversation between Child Emperor and those such, that Iaian did okay. He did okay. He stood up against the dragon and he was about to lose, but he did okay there. You can't really expect much more from Stinger, Spring Mustachio, loincloth, Iron Loincloth or whatever. All these other heroes, you can't expect the same things from him. He's obviously a main character, but the fact that he was able to deal with that situation, moving forward on to maybe even looking at Rhino Wrestler, it was a casual attack. Yes, he insisted once or twice to try to cut the horn, and it seemed as if that was his main endeavor, not that he wanted to defeat Rhino Wrestler. So, taking these two into account, he's playing with Rhino Wrestler, trying to cut his horn. He can't do it. Not to say that he couldn't kill Rhino Wrestler, but he couldn't necessarily cut through his horn. And then we get Devil Long here. As long as we can accept that the two previous fights do necessarily show you who is Iaian. Murata took the time to show us all the other heroes getting just tossed around, combination attacks not working, just deflected off of his body and his armor and his toughness, and it was Iaian who stopped the charge of Rhino Wrestler. If we were to give him credit for standing up to Melzigard and Rhino Wrestler, we should definitely give him credit for not only being able to close his eyes and still deflect and effectively defend himself from Devil Longhair's incredibly difficult attack. We already know the hype of Devil Longhair's capabilities, that these small, multiple, quick-moving strands of hair that are incredibly sharp and stiff, that can pierce through your armor, get around your armor, and deal all kinds of damage to your organs, interior organs, your body in general. Very dangerous fight, or dangerous obstacles to be fighting up against. Iaian closed his eyes and instructed the two disciples with him on how to beat him. We could give praise and accolades to Atomic Samurai for teaching these concepts and these techniques to Iaian, and either Iaian's own confidence or the confidence that he got from training under Atomic Samurai to be able to employ those tactics effectively in an instant like that. It was nothing but impressive. It was nothing but impressive. To not know how to defeat something or to deal with something and to come up with a technique that works in an instant like that, amazing job. His leadership was on point, his intuitiveness was on point, and they actually managed to bring down this strong, superior demon. That's not to say that Devil Longhair was the strongest of the demons, but there aren't going to be that many other ones they're going to fight him that easily, at least. So, if we can take those into account, maybe let's forget about the even natural water encounter. This is a whole different story. Even Natural Water's Demon managed to cut a hole straight through Iaian's blade. And the rest of the encounter, it wasn't even much worth mentioning. We should expect that. I don't believe Suiryu would have that good of a chance up against even Ultra Water. I don't think Amai could either. Yeah, we could speculate and debate whether we should take away from Iaian in regards to the even Ultra Water encounter, but let's continue the conversation assuming that we don't. We're giving him the accolades, so we're praising him instead for being able to encounter even Ultra Water and do okay, or stay alive, or just get knocked out. Now that may be due to the intentions or the nature of natural water. We'll find out later on in the story if there is going to be a reference to that as to why they were knocked out and not killed. If that's going to be the same sequence of events because of the redraw. But whether that's the case or not, Iaian has done a lot. Every feat that I mentioned, every accomplishment that I mentioned, every scenario that I just mentioned can be referenced in the manga, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And make anything up and exaggerate anything. These are things that Iaian did. Now he manages to not only come from behind amai mask in the recent redraw, but then he knocks, I guess, just smacks them out of the way, the Narinki squad. The reason why this is impressive is because Iaian was able to like speed towards amai without amai noticing, and he was able to deliver like an interfering attack or an interfering motion that amai wasn't aware of. He couldn't like stop it, he couldn't defend himself from it. Like, it showed that like in an encounter with Iaian and amai that like Iaian would be able to catch amai, maybe, possibly, in a situation where he's not necessarily prepared or he's outmaneuvered. Basically, it looks like Iaian is capable of assaulting or hurting amai mask if there's a surprise involved. I'll make that stipulation. If there's a surprise involved, it's likely that he could hit him. He could hurt him. That's not necessarily as big of a downplay or of a hurt for amai mask, but it does hammer the final nail. Maybe not all the way in, but in the coffin, that is Iaian being S-Class, we're close to being able to say that definitively. Now, I don't want to make the declaration without trolling to say that Iaian can beat amai mask. The One Punch Man podcast that's coming up referring to the redraws that happened, I will be making that statement. I may or may not be trolling, but listen to find out. But I don't want to disregard the relationship that... Hold on, bro. That amai mask and Iaian could happen to the future. This is the gatekeeper. So not only with the development, with the flourishing of their grudge against each other, the rivalry, the tension as it grows, not only should that be a great part of the story, or to see that blow up, that should be amazing. But the climax of it, or the acceptance of amai for Iaian, could yield his entrance to the S-Class. Now, I want to preference that there are two of the characters that have shown feats that are in the S-Class range, but because of their inconsistencies, they shouldn't necessarily be there. And I'm referring to Gearspur and Fubuki. But the consistency of Iaian continuously is one of the main reasons as to why I think amai should be able to test him right now and give him the pass. So, if amai doesn't confront Iaian physically, how else do you become S-Class? Is it just like a clearing like we saw with the Genos, where he was probably vetted beforehand and then amai mask went to go see him? That may be the case. However it turns out to be, we're starting to see individuals who can come into the story and be of importance. I'll mention this. Suiryu's appearance in the recent chapters, recovering in the hospital and declaring that he wants to become a hero, really brings the hype. Moomin Rider and Glasses still haven't had a prominent part in the story besides being... I can't say filler. They're not filler. They're huge parts. They're definitely huge parts. But they're not the essential cog yet. And we can see that like they're characters that are moving If you were to consider them atoms, they're starting to move, they're starting to flourish, they're starting to get excited. But I don't see the same growth for Glasses and Moomin Rider as I see for Iaian. Iaian's potential, not only as a main character in the story, but as an actual strong fighter, is high up there. I won't say it's more than Suiryu's, but I'm so excited to see what else happens with Iaian. Once again, I made the contention that I made at the beginning of the video for each of the topics. The relationship that Iaian and Amai Mask have in that rivalry, it could be due to Amai Mask's overall just asshole behavior that he's shown to everybody. It could be because of that. But I'm willing to bet that Wonder Murata are trying to tell us something with how confident Iaian has been with that encounter, how effective Iaian has been in terms of leading the group, and just how intuitive the individual is with dealing with situations. I'm super impressed with Iaian, and let's see what happens next. Yo ho ho!